need to put batteries in this light. So give me a second. I have some already out, but I thought it was brighter. I thought it was brighter than this. Oh shoot, what did I do with the batteries? Shoot, shoot, shoot. Hold on, guys. I thought I had batteries set out. Okay, here they are. I do have batteries. I was just like, I thought I set some batteries out. Hold on, I'm putting batteries in the light if I can find the other battery. There it is. They slid. So I have this light, and I thought it was brighter than that, but as it's getting darker, I'm realizing that it's not very bright at all. So we're gonna go ahead and get rid of these batteries and put a fresh set in. I hope you guys can hear me because I'm not wearing the microphone. It is clipped. Hold on, let me see. Is the volume up all the way? Yeah. The microphone is clipped on the tripod. So I'm hoping y'all can hear me because for real, I don't want to wear it. There we go. That's what we needed. Shine some light on the subject. There we go. All right. Some people are saying the thumbs up so they can hear me. I'm hoping that you can hear me. Okay. I'm assuming that the thumbs up means you can hear me. Okay, good. Thank you, Judith. Thank you for jumping on and moderating my mods. Thank you so much. As you can see, we're back to the old format of live streaming. I don't have my laptop out right now. I was going to jump on the laptop and do the fancy live stream, but I just didn't feel like it. I was being lazy today, and so there it is. Lazy. I have got to get my hair cut. For those of you that my wound is healing so good, my Mercer, my Mercer wound, it's healing very well, but I need to get my sides cut. Hey, from Norfolk, Virginia. How are you? You know I'm from Northern Virginia, so that's not too far. I am going to try and move this tripod a little closer so I can read. All right, good. Emoji hand if you read or listened to, rather, the book. Episode number 6, LeVar Burton Podcast.com. Graham Greene was the name of the book. Can you put up an emoji hand if you read it, or an emoji thumbs up if you listened to it, rather? Because you don't read it, you listen to it, because it is a podcast. Yeah, let me know if you did or not. 1, 2, 3 people. That's it? 4 out of 36 of you. Come on. All right, I'm going to turn the volume down on my tablet so that I can watch the live here if I need to see how I look. Oh, man. Okay, 3 times, Monster. You didn't have to do it 3 times, sweetie. I appreciate it, but not necessary. Okay, so that's good. So we should be able to have a decent chat then, right? Should definitely have a decent chat with that many people having listened to the book. Judith says she's not seeing anyone else on the live chat. Is everybody seeing the live chat? Is everyone able to see other people's comments? I can see it on mine. Maybe X out Judith and come back. Hit the X and then come back. Could just be a little glitch. Tippy Joe says that she can see. Shakur family can see. Miss Net wants to know what's the book. Oh, sis. Yeah, you're gonna have to go and listen to it later. If you don't know, then you don't know. It shows 48 on and 17 thumbs up. Hey, what about my thumbs up, yo? You enjoyed this channel? Give me my thumbs up. Yeah, okay, so Don't forget, exit out real quick, hit the thumbs up, and come back in. I'm gonna give you like a couple seconds to do that. Everybody, real quick. 1, 2, 3, X, and thumbs up, and come back. Ready? 1, 2, 3, X out, thumbs up, come back. All right, we got a few more. Come on, guys. Hit that thumbs up before you join the chat. All right. So, the book was episode number 6. The title of the book is called Graham Greene. The website is LeVarBurtonReads.com. And just as a housekeeping type thing before I forget, there is no book club for January. I'm taking January off. I wasn't going to do a podcast for January either, but I decided to do the podcast because if you've been following this channel for more than 2 months, then you know that our favorite podcaster who we've been listening to, Earlonne Woods, who is a co-host of the Ear Hustle podcast, is either already released or is soon to be released from prison. And so I wanted to listen to the podcast of where he gets the information, the news that he's going to be released. So next Saturday, which is the first Saturday in January, we are listening to number 24, I believe it is. And 24 or 26, go to CrystalVanner.com. You'll see it there, where he gets the news, where he is being released. And I think it's season 3 that we're on. So once we listen to that one, we'll go back and continue listening to the older ones like we were before. But I wanted to get the new year started with that good news that Earlonne received back in November. So that's just a little bit of housekeeping information for you guys. R wants me to answer them. You please don't do that. Please don't do that. Anyway, this book, Graham Greene, by I don't remember the author's name. If anybody can jump on my website real quick and tell me the author's name, I'd appreciate it because I forgot what his name was. He is released and he recorded it. Thank you, Margot, for keeping up to date on that because I personally did not listen to the last couple of podcasts, so that's my bad. So thank you for that information. But yes, I want to listen to the one where he gets the news, the happy news. So that's what we're going to start our new year on, with him receiving that happy news. And then we'll go back and listen to some of the old ones. And he'll definitely, as he is out and free and living his life, he will be periodically podcasting still. So he's not gone from Ear Hustle. And I believe he was given a job either on Radiotopia or NPR or some podcasting company somewhere gave him a job, I believe is what I heard. So anyway, thank you, Tippy Joe. Percival Everett is the author of the book we listened to today. So for those that listen to the book, Graham Greene, this story had so many little nuggets and gems in it. And it's almost was a little bit divine or kismet or whatever you want to call it, coincidence, that we listened to this particular book around the holiday season. You guys know, I've said it many times, I don't celebrate holidays. But I know that this time of year, people tend to be nicer. They tend to be kinder. They tend to be more giving. They tend to be more charitable and all that jazz. So this book, to me, had a little bit of all that in it because the gentleman in the story was asked by a 100-year-old indigenous woman, and I don't say Native American, I say indigenous people, because you can't be native to America when it wasn't America when you were living here or when your ancestors were living here. But I know that most people say Native American or Indians. They're not Indians either because they're not from India, but whatever. So a 100-year-old indigenous woman asked this gentleman to find her son, who she has not seen since he was, I can also say First Nation. Thank you, Tippy Joe. Find her son, who she hadn't seen in I think she's 30 years or something. And no one there on the in the tribe area, the tribe land even knew she had a son. And so this was basically she gave him an old picture of a man and said he was in his 80s now, but the picture he was like in his 40s. And she knew that he worked maybe in a restaurant. So basically gave him a task that was almost impossible to do. So it's like, where do you begin? Where do you begin? So of course he goes to the records there on the tribe land, and there's no record of her having a child, but that doesn't mean anything because a lot of times um um First Nation or indigenous people had kids at home and there was no birth certificate. So that didn't pan out. Then he goes into town and he's asking around, and come to find out, almost everyone he shows the picture to, or at least a few people that he shows the picture to, says that the picture looks like Graham Greene, the actor, Graham Greene, who is an indigenous gentleman. So, a matter of fact, let me see if I can go and find on Google a picture of Mr. Greene so that we can have a frame of reference. Graham Greene, actor. All right, I want to find a picture of him when he was younger. Images. So I know when you guys see him, you'll be like, oh, I know him. He's been in a lot of movies. So I'm trying to find a picture of him when he was a little bit younger. I'm not really seeing a whole lot of younger pictures of him. Here's one of him. So here's a picture of him. So I know you guys have seen this gentleman in movies. I know you have. Really, any old Western movies where they had indigenous people in the movies, he has always been in those movies. Here's a picture of him as he's a little older. I know you guys have seen him. I think he's a good actor. The movies I've seen him in have been good. So anyway, that is the person that she gave. So the picture looks like him. So a lot of people were like, oh, that looks like Graham Greene. Oh, that looks like Graham Greene. So when he went to the restaurant, when he went to different places, asking about Mrs. St. Cloud, who's the woman who asked him, Mrs. St. Cloud's son, that everyone says, oh, he looks like Graham Greene. He looks like Graham Greene, the actor. So I guess that's why the title of the book is Graham Greene. I do like the fact that the author is a Black man. I love the fact that LeVar Burton does showcase Black authors who write short stories, because I'm a big fan of short stories. I'm a big fan of sci-fi, so his podcast means a lot to me. But I do like this story in particular, like I said, because this time of year, because he could have easily said no to her. He could have easily said, is that a light bulb on the cord behind you? Can you ask those questions after? We're going to have a little chat later, but let's get about 30 minutes of book club in first, and then I'm going to jump on a different live and we'll do a chat, okay? This is the book club chat. So give me about another 15 minutes for book club. So he could have easily said no, or he could have said, I couldn't find your son, and that be the end of it. He definitely could have done that. But I feel like she's older, she's dying. He really, really wanted to do this for her. He wanted to find her son for her. It didn't pan out. So I like the fact that oh, okay. Looks like we have somebody that maybe needs to be blocked. If there's an admin, we go ahead and block that person instead of just deleting their comment. Let's just block them altogether from this channel. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, so anyway, I don't want to talk too much. I want to hear what you guys, or read what you guys thought about it, because there's at least 5 of you that said you heard the podcast book. So please, 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 please tell me what you thought about it. Especially Monster, since you listened to it 3 times, you should have a lot of insight. So share with me, what did you like about the book? What little nuggets did you get from the book? There's lots of little things that he did in this story that I thought, oh, that's interesting. So let me know what you guys thought though. Tippy Joe says, so how many took the deep breath in the beginning? I do. Every single time I take the deep breath. That's one of his his traditional trademark traditions, whatever you want to call things he does before he starts to read. He says, now take a deep breath. And I take that deep breath every single time. Mr. G says that the story was more about the desire to help someone. Right. The desire to help someone was greater than actually accomplishing the task. True. Anybody else have any comments on the book or the story rather? Book story, same thing. A lot of these short stories that he reads are usually from, not a lot, but some of the short stories that he reads are not standalone stories. They're usually come from the author's, a collection that the author has written with several short stories in one book. So Lena says, I like how she explained how she handled trying to get over leaving him. Leaving her son? Box of grid squares hunt. Huh? Box of grid squares hunt. I don't understand that. Maybe I missed that. And I listened to it the other day. I listened to it. Wait, today's Saturday? I listened to it on Thursday. I don't remember that. Elaborate, monster. Box of grid squares hunt. I don't know. Lena says, I thought it was just two women. It was just her. Lena, did you listen to the right episode? I love how the woman was not taking no for an answer. Definitely. She was very without being mean, she was going to make sure he did this. So she wasn't mean about it, but you know, everybody, if anybody has an older auntie or grandma or even a great grandma that you remember, how you're gonna do what they say. You're gonna do what they said. Yogini says, I think maybe she knew he would not find Davy, but maybe there was a deeper connection. Tippy Joe says she just kept insisting Mr. Keene would know who her son was. Yes, she did, and it made me wonder. Like, I want to even write the author. Like, did she really have a son? Like, was it really the Graham Greene, the actor? Was there really a Davy? Like, I wanted to know. Was there a Davy? Lena says, cool. All man, I read 6, the wrong one. So yes, it was episode number 6, but it was titled Graham Greene. Mr. G says, I think she was senile. She probably was, because she died, you know, so she probably was. She died within a couple of days. So yeah. Monster says, in military, we send people on base hunt for grid squares. There's no such item. You learn you command and whom to talk to. So Yogini says, yes, apparently he died very young. So wait, I don't remember that. I mean, I must be honest, when I was listening to it, I wasn't putting my whole energy into it on Thursday when I was listening to it. I was kind of doing some other things and it was in the background. So we do know that Davy died, because remember, there was a picture of Davy. So he died as a baby, and so she just kept this picture of the actor Graham Greene and said that was her son. Is that what it is? Interesting. Interesting. Tippy Joe says, yeah, wondered the same thing. Is Davy real? So maybe I missed that part of the book. Ah, he died as a child. Okay, so she did have a child. Okay. So it's interesting that she saw this picture of the actor Graham Greene and just said that's her son. That's very interesting. So I guess she imagined if her son grew up that that's what he would look like. So that's very interesting. Okay. So I guess I didn't pay attention to that part. And good to know. So yes, then you're right, Mr. G. She probably was somewhat senile at that point. Because she died within what, 2 days, I think it was 2 or 3 days of of her asking him to search for her son. So that makes sense, I guess. Interesting. Guess I just didn't pick up on that little tidbit. I'm glad somebody did. Interesting. Um, which is why I thought she felt a connection with Keen. So I think as she was um in the bed dying and she was talking to him as if he was Davy, I think a lot of times when you're in that transition of life to death, that your mind is not fully, you know what I mean, registering. So he was able to be Davy for her in that moment, which allowed her to then die at peace and to cross over in peace, which is really all she needed. She needed to say those things to Davy that she didn't get a chance to say, I guess. She wanted to believe that he had a good life and became an adult and accomplished things. And so, if that's a little thing you could give someone, like, why not? Like, why not? Monster says, as a family historian, I see a lot of those certificates. Yogini says, I mean, to even write him in the first place. Oh, to write him in the first place. So apparently he had been on the reservation prior and met her one other time, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So he had been on that reservation and done something prior. Was he a journalist or something? I can't remember what his job was and why he was on the reservation. But anyway, she knew of him from a previous encounter of some sort. So she didn't just randomly write this gentleman. Monster says yes, she was waiting for him to return. Yogini says yes, that is the gift that King gave her. Yeah, definitely. He was an Inu. I don't know what that is. What Inu is. Oh, he was an engineer. Okay, thank you. Okay, his job was an engineer. I don't know why I got journalist. I have no idea why I got journalist. Okay, got it. Hello, Roxanne. We're doing book club right now. If you have not listened to the book, then just give us some time to finish up our discussion and I will jump on a separate live and we will do just random chat there. Yeah, so those that so for those that listened to the book, what's your takeaway? I mean, mine, like I said already, was the fact that he was able to be something for her as she was transitioning and he didn't like really question whether or not he should be answering her as Davy. You know what I'm saying? Like he was able to just give her that gift before she transitioned to death. So that to me in this time of, the spirit of gift giving and the holidays and doing for others more than yourself and being charitable and all that and kind and generous and all the stuff that people tend to do this time of year, to me that was just very like, "Ooh, look at that." It lined up with the time of year we're in, the fact that he was being unselfish, the fact that he didn't come back and, break her heart as she was dying and said couldn't find him. He just went along with it and played Davy so that she could transition to peace. And he thought of her more than himself. And I just thought that was my takeaway. Lanier says, didn't he work for them as a younger man? And so maybe she took to him as her son since her son died so young and just wanted him there. That's possible. Monster said this was a hard listen for me. I'm sorry. Yogini says it was a great short story with good world building and was a story of kindness without thought of getting anything in return. I don't know if you meant God world building or good world building. You said God in your typing. I just put in good. Good world building. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. Tippy Joe says it takes away. My takeaway is sometimes we need to be selfless and do something for someone knowing that the only return is being kind. That is true. Lena says, sound like he shows a lot of compassion, which a lot of people can use nowadays. Most assuredly. All of us need extra compassion. And sometimes we need someone to do something for us without them expecting us to do something for them. Because I know I have had times in my life where I couldn't give. I just couldn't give. My whole inner self was dried up of giving. But I needed someone to pour into me because I had poured out already, or I just didn't have it. And so very few times have I had someone in my life during those times who was able to do that for me. For the most part, that's when I hit my depression. And it's really hard to be a good friend when you're in a depressed mode. And a lot of people don't understand that. If you don't deal with the mental illness, if you don't deal with depression, if you don't deal with bipolar, or someone very close to you doesn't deal with it, and you've made an effort to understand it, then you just think that they're not being there for you. A lot of times someone with some kind of a mental illness can't always be there for you because they are dealing with a lot internally. And so the external stuff becomes too much. And so they have to then put up a wall. But that means that you have to chip away at the wall. So but I've also had times where I've been able to pour into someone who was in that position that I know that I've been in before, knowing they couldn't give me anything. And that's okay because I was able to do that. I was in a place where I could say, look, I know you've got stuff going on and I know you can't be a good friend right now. And I'm not taking it personally. What can I do for you? Can I come over and wash some dishes? Can I come over and do a load of laundry? Can I come over and clean the bathroom? Can I come over and sit with you and watch something on TV? Can I come over and sit with you while you cry? Sometimes you have to do that, knowing that you ain't gonna get nothing in return except the fact that you did it, and that's it. And I think a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people always want to know, well, what you going to do for me? You ain't been a good friend to me either. Now, I haven't done XYZ for you, but you ain't did it for me neither. So that whole tit for tack thing, and if you're on my Patreon, I touched on that in the last post that I did. I've got to start, and we as people have got to start getting over that tick for tack. That little check box. Well, I did this and I did this, but you ain't do that. Let me X, let me check for me and X for you, or vice versa. We've got to get over that. You just got to do because you can, because you have it in you, because you have the resources, the time, the patience, the placement on your heart, whatever you want to call it. You just got to do. Not expecting anything in return. Same thing like when you give somebody $20. Sometimes you got to give, not expecting to get it back. And if you get it back, okay, cool. But if you don't, you gave it already knowing that you might not give it back. So what? If you can't loan it, knowing you might not get it back, then don't give it back. Don't loan it. You know what I'm saying? Don't loan. Anyway, Yogini says sometimes people only give to family. Sometimes we need to show our friends or even strangers. True. Lena says sometimes the problem is when you don't fill back up for yourself, you can't fill up for no one else, right? Extraordinaire says her lie or her delusion was elaborate. She said she hadn't seen her son in 30 years and she gave him a picture of an actor, or did she also have Alzheimer's? Yeah, we don't go into details for the story, so we don't know that. We don't know. Yogini says, I deal with family members with depression, and you do need to be of service and not judge and just be present. Monster says, my son gave me a movie day for Christmas. Best gift ever. Jubilant says, very true. My son and I have a tradition of going to a movie every Christmas day because we don't celebrate Christmas. I did not go to the movies this Christmas day. I think this is the first year I didn't go to the movies on Christmas Day, so I was kind of depressed about that a little bit. Not depressed, but sad about it. But I ended up just not going, not because I couldn't go, I just didn't go. To be honest with you, Christmas Day kind of came and went, and I kind of forgot about it. Because I don't, when you're living this lifestyle, you forget about days, and because I don't celebrate holidays, this wasn't really on my radar. I did send a doll baby to my granddaughter because her mom celebrates Christmas, so she does celebrate Christmas, but I wanted something under the tree from me, even though I don't celebrate it, and my son will, explain to her why that we don't and all that. So she'll get both. She'll understand why he chooses not to celebrate it, and she'll understand why her mother's side of the family does celebrate it. So it is what it is. It just is. So I did send her a doll so she could have something from her ga. She calls me ga under the tree. So I had my son, just wrap it and put my name on it. But anyway, it's just one of those things where I gave the gift not wanting a Christmas gift. I'm not going to give a Christmas gift to anyone not wanting a Christmas gift because one, I don't celebrate Christmas. So anything I do get, I'm very appreciative of. And I don't go into, oh, you shouldn't have gave me anything because I don't celebrate it. I don't do that. It's not really for religious purposes. It's not because I don't practice a real religion. I don't practice a religion. I'm more spiritual than anything. But my son is almost 24 and he's never had a Christmas tree in our home. I think he's had one as an adult and with his with my granddaughter's mom, but he's never had a Christmas gift from me or a tree. And I explained to him from a very young age, this is what people believe. So it's not up to you to change their mind, but this is what I believe and this is how I'm raising you. Lucky for him though, his birthday's in January, so he just you shop during the Christmas sales and you wrap them in birthday paper and give them to him in January. But anyway, long story short, you don't give expecting to be given something back in return, basically. Let me read some of the comments and then we're going to go into, we're going to close out this live and give me a couple of minutes and we're going to go to a regular chat live. Cindy says, Crystal, that was well said and well put. Thank you for that. No problem. PTSD and depression from GSW to the face and RA. I have to force myself to be happy, says Monster. I can definitely understand that. It can be a struggle. Lena says, I had 2 friends that passed. And when I became homeless, the friend who was living turned her back on me. And one of the friends who died told me she wasn't capable of being a friend. No, that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that happened. I've lost friends over the years. They're friends I've lost contact with. I'm currently not in contact with anybody from high school. I was for a little while, but I didn't really have real friends in high school anyway. I really only had 2 friends growing up through my kind of, 3 friends, I should say. I had a middle school friend, my best friend, who you guys heard about in a story I told before. And then in middle/high school, I had 2 good friends who lived in my area. One in particular, we found each other again years later on Facebook, but then kind of split again and never really connected again. So I don't really have any high school friends that I'm in contact with, which is unfortunate because I don't have anyone who knows me from my youth. Most of the friends I have now have been friends that I've made in the last maybe 10 to 15 years. So, whatever. It doesn't really bother me, but because I know that now on the other side from where I was, that it's hard to be a friend to me because I do have my ebbs and flows with my mental health. And so maybe that's why. But I also don't let people get close to me because of a lot of different things I've experienced in my life. It's very hard to get close to me and be a true friend. But once I consider you a true friend, once I reach out to you, just know that I've got your back. You know, it's just one of those things. I don't know. I try to reach out to people, even if it's only once or twice a year. I try and go through my contact lists every couple months and just start texting people that I haven't texted in a long time just to see how they're doing. And sometimes I don't get a response because I think sometimes people think, oh, she must want something because it's been like 6 months since I've talked to her. But I also feel like, look, you haven't reached out to me in 6 months either. So I just want to know how you're doing. I don't want nothing. So I don't know. It's hard to gauge, you know, it's just hard to gauge. Um Monster wants to know, have I read the book Love Languages? No, but I took the test. Judith says one should be their own best friend first. Everyone else will fall into place. That's not necessarily true. I cannot agree with that, Judith, because that's not necessarily true. Because everybody has an internal struggle of some sort. Everybody has insecurities and things that they struggle with that they don't share with everyone. So they won't necessarily fall into place because you're being good to yourself. Monster says, which are you? I don't know what that means. Oh, which love language I am. So my love language is, I think it's random. It's random acts of kindness, but not gifts. Gifts are not my love language. Words of affirmation are not my love language. As a matter of fact, it's very difficult for me to take a compliment, and my second husband struggled with that with me because for him, his love language was words of affirmation, and I'm not a big person to give out words of affirmation. So it was hard for him to realize that for me, you randomly cleaning the bathroom or doing the dishes or cooking a meal is what speaks to my love language, because he was always complimenting me because that's his love language. And so I was not really complimenting him because that's not my love language. I was keeping a clean home. I was keeping things neat and organized and tidy because that's my love language. So we struggled, which is again in the top 5 reasons why we are divorced. Well, not divorced, but separated. I'm hoping to be divorced soon. Anyway, another topic. Anyway, let me exit out of this. Let me say thank you to those that listened to the book, and I will jump back on in about 35 seconds in another live so we can randomly chat, because I want the people to watch the replay to only be watching the book club replay, because most people do not watch an hour-long live if it's just a random chat and I don't get my views. So we will discuss the love language thing in a random chat. Thank you to everyone who read the book. Give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't read Graham Greene, episode number 6, go and listen to it. I keep saying read, and I'm sorry, it's a podcast. Go and listen to it at any time. We're not doing book club for January. Next Saturday is the podcast. You will be listening to the big news, I believe it is. Go to crystalvanner.com to get the podcast link for free. Less than an hour. Listen to it for next Saturday. I'm going to exit out of this and I'm going to jump on a random live chat. Give me about 45 seconds and come back and join me in that chat, okay? Thanks, guys, so much. Mwah. Love you.